Okay, guys, welcome back. There's so much that I need to discuss right now, and we are just gonna go right into it and talk about it. Now, there are news coming in that the police officers involved in George Floyd's death, big news, you guys. I hope you can stay here and just listen, and let's just talk about it together. So, the police officers involved in the death of George Floyd has been federally indicted. Now, this is something bigger. It's so much bigger than the charges they initially faced. As you knew, Derek Chauvin, he was charged with on 3 counts and was convicted on all 3 counts. And right now, he is in prison awaiting sentencing. But, but, and a judge has recently filed new charges against Derek Chauvin. And so this is amazing. This is very important because they have found that he has violated George Floyd's rights. Well, obviously, like, didn't you just see it? The man was on the floor, he was dying, and no one came to his aid, no one came to his attention, obviously. And they knew it. And I'm very happy right now because Derek Chauvin was only going to get about anywhere from 12 to 40, and it was highly possible that Derek Chauvin wouldn't have gotten 40 years. It was highly possible that Derek Chauvin would have gotten maybe about 15, somewhere in the middle, according to the sentencing guidelines. But with these sophisticated charges being put against Derek Chauvin and the other officers, former officers involved in the murder, this is significant. And this probably, if found guilty, could give them, man, they could be put away for life. They could be put away for life for it. Now, let us just break things down because this is pretty interesting. Now, as you know, there were not one, not two, not three, but four police officers on the scene. One was guarding the crowd, and the other three was there holding was holding George Floyd down on the ground, right? And remember when one of the police officers, I think it was Officer King, says, "Hey, shall we roll him over?" And Derek Chauvin, with all his evil hiding behind the badge, says, "No, we're staying put where we are, obviously. Are you kidding me? Are you can't understand that this man is suffering? Shall we roll him over? No, let's keep him here because we want him to die. We want to make sure that he dies, right?" And so until the other officer is saying, "I can't find a pulse," and yet we're still staying put where we are. They obviously knew that George Floyd was suffering, that he did not have a pulse, and they continued. They continued. Even after the breath left George Floyd's body, they continued. So obviously, obviously, this warrants civil charges. Not only that, but they were operating in the capacity of police officers with so much power. We're not talking about George Floyd going into a fist fight with another man because he would have stand a chance. George Floyd could have thumped and kicked and hit. He was handcuffed. His hand was behind his back. That's what was happening. That was what was happening. And as police officers, I cannot begin to understand when people are saying that, oh, police officers are so vulnerable. No, they're not. They're not. They have a badge, they have guns, they have tasers, they have maces, they have everything they need. Everything they need. And then they usually have lots of backups as well. And then they have their own police department who are going to take up for them no matter what. What do citizens have? Probably a few eyewitnesses, and maybe not even that is enough. There are a lot of times that people choose to believe the officer over the body camera. A lot of times that happens, right? And so it's just amazing to know now that he has been charged. They've all been charged with this sort of crime, a crime that they really deserve to be charged for. It is so crazy and unbelievable, but I'm very happy that this is what is taking place. There's something else that I want to talk about, and I'm going to go into that, and we're going to talk about it. But we just want to talk about this for a minute because this is significant. This is very significant. Because had we not have the bystander videos to show that these officers knew what they were doing and intentionally did it, they would have gotten away with it. They would have absolutely gotten away with it, right? And so right now he's awaiting sentencing, and I'm very excited to see what will happen with these charges because I'm, as you know, as you know from my previous videos, I'm very, 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 very passionate about this case and really want to see what is going to happen. But there's another case that I want to talk about today. It's a case that is involving Martin Luther King's niece and that Fox News interview. I don't know if you've seen it. Martin Luther King, remember Martin Luther King, who fought for civil rights, who fought for the rights of Black people. Martin Luther King, his niece, today had an interview with Fox News. That's what happened. And this goes to show that there's lots of money, a lot of money out there, a lot of money out there that is in support of right-wing talking points, a lot of money out there. And that is why lots of people would go on Fox News to give an interview like that. That is why Dr. Martin Luther King's niece went on Fox News to give an embarrassing interview like that. I cannot even begin to understand how a person could say things that they don't mean, say things that can put people's lives at risk and in danger for money. And there's so many people, but it hurts even more when Black people do it, because they're the ones that are suffering at the hands of police officers. And to betray a person, to betray your own race because of money, because there's a lot of money to be earned. Tucker Carlson is not the greatest thing on television just because. No, it's because he has an audience, a very big audience. And there are lots of people out there who are in support of brutal killings of innocent Black people. There's no doubt about that. And that is the reason why Tucker Carlson can come on every night, implying, praising white supremacy, because of that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because another one, Candace Owens, I don't know if you know who Candace Owens is, but you can Google her. She's another one too. Come out to say George Floyd, it was okay for George Floyd to have died, and Derek Chauvin should not have been found guilty. And when you listen to the answers, it's not even logical. It doesn't even make sense. So why, Candace Owens, why should that have happened? And why should Derek Chauvin not have faced charges? And then she says, oh, because George Floyd was not innocent. George Floyd had a $20 bill. Oh, George Floyd held someone at gunpoint. Are you kidding me? In America, you do not commit extrajudicial killings. That's the thing. In America, people get their right to due process. That's the thing. In America, people are not slaughtered in the street. That's the thing. So absolutely, Derek Chauvin did something that he shouldn't have done. Absolutely was terrible. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about George Floyd's past, because George Floyd is not the one on trial. He didn't get a trial. He didn't get a trial. So I cannot begin to understand how every time a Black person dies, there are people from the right who are talking about, oh, this person wasn't innocent. We're not saying that they're innocent. We're not saying that. Give people the right to due process. That is what people are saying. Give people the right, allow people the right to due process. Derek Chauvin was not an innocent man. While he was holding down George Floyd on the ground with his knee on his neck, he was underreporting his money that he earns for years. He wasn't paying his taxes for years, he and his wife. Give people their right to due process. It's as simple as that. No one is saying that these people are innocent. That's not what people are saying. What people are saying is that in America, you give people the right to due process. You don't just kill. a person because they gave a fake $20 bill, right? And like I said, it really is upsetting to see Black people selling out selling out their own race for money, selling out their own race for money, going on Fox News, conducting interviews, being a part of the Republican Party, being the spokesperson when another Black person dies. Whenever there's crisis in the police force, they come out and start talking about it, start taking up for police officers. They're the first one in front. We have a particular set of Black people who care more about money than they do about their fellow citizens, about people who they share the same color with. I'm not condoning violence. I hate violence. I myself am a victim of violence and is living in one of the most dangerous countries in the world. I hate violence. And I love police officers. I've never had a bad experience with police officers before. In fact, they've always come to my rescue when I need them. Thanks should be the order of the day for police officers who put their life on the line in the fields, behind the scenes, trying to protect us. They're not the problem, but there's some bad ones, and there's a bad broken system that is continuously covering for the bad police officers, not weeding them out, being as backatives for them, allowing things like these to continuously happen. It's not that people are against police officers. People are against the violence and the blatant crime committed by police officers. That's what people are against. That's it. That's it. I've never had a bad experience with a police officer before. But the fact that I've never had a bad experience doesn't mean that I cannot see the blatant racism that is happening in front of me. And police officers have a thing, when they see their other fellow police officers hurting another innocent victim, what do? They cover for each other. They don't intervene. 4 police officers were there when Derek Chauvin was holding George Floyd down. They all helped him do it. They knew it was wrong. They knew he didn't have a pulse. I'm not getting a pulse. I don't think he have a pulse. They knew it. Shall we roll him over? They knew it. What did they do? No. They listened to Derek Chauvin and they stayed put where they were, instead of trying to fight for the very people that they're being paid to save. They rather cover up the back of a bad cop that intervene when a good citizen needs help. And that is where we have the problem. It's not about police officers. It is not about police officers being bad. It's not about all police officers. It's about a system that continues to enable cruelty in the police force. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. It's the system. And I don't understand how a group of people cannot see it. And it's not like they don't see it. They just don't care. That's it. They just don't care. They prefer politics and policy over people's lives. And the Black ones that are actually doing it, they prefer money over people's lives. And I see it all the time. Like I mentioned earlier about Martin Luther King's niece. Martin Luther King must be rolling in his grave right now. But because you can get a 10 grand from Fox News, $1 from OAN, you're going to say something that you do not mean. You're going to say something that is going to enable people who look like you to die. For what? For a check? That is a great problem. And there's a big problem in the United States of America. There's a big problem in the United States of America. And I'm not saying it's the majority. It probably isn't. But a great portion of the people are in support of things like these. And the ones who are not in direct support of things like these, they just allow it to happen. And others just want to collect a check. That's it. There's no other rationale to have Tucker Carlson being the highest paid host, the highest rating on television, when his former writer was fired because he had a post, he had a full website on white supremacy, making racial slurs about Chinese and blacks. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And that is why I tell Black people that you've got to stand up for yourself. You've got to know who you are. And you cannot allow people to take advantage of you. You cannot allow people to walk over you because, as far as I'm concerned, Black people should be living a life in America. They should. They gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives, their ancestor paid with their lives. How dare you be slaughtering them in the streets when they built the very road that you're walking on. They built your very economy that you're talking about. It's the greatest country in the world. How dare you? How dare you? When Black people was what made America, what is what makes America who it is today. How dare you? When you see a police officer in the street, stop and say thank you. When you see a Black person in the street, stop and say thank you. Thank you. Because what your ancestors did that put you 4 generations behind is what is giving me this privilege right now. So thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I'm not saying that police officers are not supposed to be thanked. What I'm saying is for too long, people have been ignoring Black people in America. For too long, people are being racist towards Black people in America just because of his skin color. And I don't know how I can't wrap my head around it. Maybe it's because I'm from a Black majority country. Maybe that's why I cannot begin to wrap my head around racism. How can you treat a color different because it's Black? Like, are you kidding me? It's just a color. How can you treat it differently? I cannot begin to even process it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I'm very happy that we have cameras that are recording it, recording every moment of it. Because there are people like me in countries that I come from. And we didn't know the situation. When I was younger and I heard, and I'm a Black person, I'm just not African American. And when I heard people talking about, oh, racism, what did I say? Oh, Black people in America always talk about racism. No one is being racist against them. I can't take Black people. Why are they talking about racism? That's me. That was me. That was my statement. Because I didn't understand my privilege. I didn't understand that I was privileged to be from the country that I'm from. And my wish and my hope is that all Black people get the opportunity that I have to live in a country where you're majority Black, where you don't experience racism, where you're not told that you're less than, when you don't have to worry that if you get stopped by a cop, it might be your last day alive. I've never had that experience before. And I never will have to ever worry that my son, my daughter will ever have that experience. But we're all brothers and sisters. It just so happens that we were dropped off. We were on the same ship. We were just dropped off at different places. That's it. But the kind of empowerment you get from living in a Black majority country is amazing because your leaders are Black, all of them. And the people you see on television are Black. And our pageants, our beauty pageants are all Black, and our actors are all Black. And it's amazing. It's amazing. But I really cannot begin to wrap my head around it. But you've got to have the kind of confidence that when somebody comes up to you and call you the N-word, to know that you're not that. Okay? You've got to have the confidence to know that they're stupid. Because for me, if someone says, and it's just so different because of the culture, because if someone says it to me, it's like they're saying, the sky's purple today. Like it doesn't make a difference to me because of the way that I was brought up. You know, I wasn't brought up to feel less than. My teachers didn't treat me any different. I didn't go, be in school and see just a lot of different people who look different than me. That was not my reality. So I wish you can have that. And I really don't want to rant on, but it's just a topic that means a lot to me. And especially since for a very long time, I really did not understand what Black people were going through in America. I had no clue. I had no clue. I don't know what racism is. I have no clue what it is. And right now, even if I experience racism, I'm in my 20s. So my entire life has been fueling confidence in me, the kind of confidence where you see people around you who are on TV who has your skin tone. You don't take those things personal, but it's crazy and it's heartbreaking. There's a difference between saying something that is negative and killing someone. Because I'm sure that Black Americans are not begging people to like them. Keep them alive and breathing. Don't intervene in their personal space. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that, you know? So I'm glad that Derek Chauvin and the other officers are facing what they're facing. I'm happy about that. And I hope, it's my only hope, that we will record. Listen, you've got to be your brother's keeper. And when you see a police officer doing something that is not right, maybe you can't even jump in because maybe you won't live to tell the tale. But use your cameras, okay, and record. Because if Darnell or Fraser didn't do that, the news, the messaging would have been man died during police encounter, like so many others. Let's not begin to talk about the many, many people who have died at the hands of police officers and nothing ever happens. Derek Chauvin almost killed a 14-year-old boy during a domestic dispute with his mom. When people call their mom, the police officers on a scene for domestic dispute, they're not expecting that you're going to kill your child. They're expecting that you do everything you can to de-escalate in the best way possible. But if you cannot relate to a type of skin tone because you're not that type of skin tone, and if you're racist, you're going to use your power to kill. You're going to use your power to hurt. And it's not all police officers, like I said. Most of them are amazing. I've had encounters with police officers in America because I've been there. And most of them are amazing. Most of them are amazing. But there's some, and there's a systematic problem in America that we need to sort out. That is the end of my rant. Thank you for joining in, and we'll catch up again soon. Remember to like, share, subscribe, because I believe that this information is something that really does need to get out there. We need to have discourse like this more often. We cannot allow Fox News to be the loudest voice in television, on radio, and on the internet. We need voices that are going to be standing up for Black people. And there's some powerful Black people that are not using their voices as they should. They're going on Fox News to collect a check. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's join in the conversation together. Let's be each other's keeper. That's it. I'll see you again soon.